Hey everybody, Wes Kostelski here from Hairless Dog, and today I want to show you how to make an amazing taco that pairs perfectly with our coffee stout. What we're going to be making is a coffee and cocoa rub pork taco, finished with some candied jalapenos, pickled red onions, and a little cilantro lime sauce over the top. Again, it goes amazing with our coffee stout, and it's just an absolutely incredible taco. So with that being said, let's get right to it.
Alright, it's my opinion that no kitchen session is complete without a nice cold beverage, so might as well crack one open and enjoy. The sweet malty characteristics coupled with the slight bitter dark roasted coffee and warm spice notes of this stout was the inspiration for the following recipe. The pork taco has a very complementary flavor that all begins with the spice rub. The spice rub itself is a combination of brown sugar, ground coffee, cinnamon, ancho chili, salt, pepper, mustard, and ginger. It's important to make sure the spice blend is thoroughly mixed so we can create a nice even coating over the pork butt. I'm using a deboned center cut of the pork butt with fat cap still on. Now this fat cap is going to play an important role in flavor creation as well as a textural component while roasting. Now it's very important to get an even liberal coating of spice blend over the pork butt. This is because as it roasts, fat will render and sugars will caramelize to create this incredible bark along the exterior. From there we put it onto a prepped hotel pan with a wire rack and into a 250 degree preheated oven for 6 to 8 hours. Now it's time to make the accoutrement for the taco, so let's begin with the pickled red onions. We'll start by making a quick pickling liquid, adding 1 cup of apple cider vinegar and 1 cup of water to a sauce pot, followed up by 1 cup of granulated white sugar, a couple pinches of dried herbs, and a couple pinches of dried chili flakes. To finish, simply bring up to a boil and down to a simmer on medium-low heat for 15 minutes. And of course, pickled red onions wouldn't be complete without, well, you know where I'm going with this. Cut the top off, peel back the first layer, making sure to leave every other layer intact so we can slice nice thin rings. Clean up a little bit, grab your Japanese mandolin, test a few slices. What we're looking for is almost translucent and still thin. Be very careful with this piece of equipment because they have been known to take the tips of fingers off. With all fingertips intact, let's move on. Add the sliced onions to a heat-resistant bowl and gently separate the rings a little bit. If only the choppy editing cleanup was available in real life. Might have to try and figure that out. Anyways, time to pour our warm pickling liquid over our onion rings by straining it through a fine strainer. Once this is done, glove up because the liquid is still sure to be hot, and poke those last onion rings down into the liquid to make sure that everything is evenly covered. Move the bowl uncovered to the fridge to cool, and let's move on. It's now time to make our candied jalapenos. Grab 3 large jalapenos, remove the tops, and slice into quarters. The majority of heat in jalapeno is found in the membrane, the white part, and the seeds on the inside. We're going to keep both the membrane and the seeds in because our process of candying is going to remove some of the overall heat. Finally, cut across the quarters to create large diced chunks and add to a small sauce pot. Now repeat the process with the last of the jalapenos. Don't worry man, I'll wait. Just a word of advice while we wait on the slowest jalapeno chopping ever. Please remember to remove those gloves before touching your face, or especially going to the bathroom. And to the jalapenos, we'll add 1 cup of water and 1 cup of granulated white sugar. Place the sauce pot on the stove to lightly simmer for roughly 30 minutes on a medium-low heat. With our onions and jalapenos taken care of, it's now time to make our cilantro lime sauce. Start this by grabbing 1 large bunch of cilantro and chopping all the way down to the middle of the stems. We only want to use to the middle of the stem because the further down the stem you go, the more intense the flavor becomes. Unfortunately, the more bitter the flavor becomes. Add the cilantro to a blender. If you don't have a blender, a food processor will work just fine. Now we'll prep our white onion by topping, cutting in half, and dicing until we have about 1/4 cup's worth. If you're sitting there thinking this is a little too basic for you, you could also roast or saute the onion to create another depth of flavor as well as color to the finished sauce. Moving on from the onion, it's now time to prep our garlic. Cut the top off, grab roughly 3 cloves, smash for easy peeling, and simply run your knife over the garlic to rough chop. If you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, again, you could saute or roast this garlic, cool down, and then add to the blender as well. Now we move on to adding the lime component. Whoa, easy there, guy. The lime component to our cilantro lime sauce. Roll the limes for maximum juice extraction, cut in half, and squeeze directly into the blender. With our station quickly cleaned up, it's now time to add our last couple of ingredients and let the blender do what it does best. Blend. But before we get to blending, we want to finish this sauce off with 2 ounces of extra virgin olive oil, as well as 2 ounces of water. Jeez, the suspense is killing me. Yeah, get that last little bit on there and let's blend. I swear that's the last time I'll use the word blend or blender in this video. Okay, fire the machine up and mix until an even puree is created. I'm adding the Cilantro Lime sauce to a squeeze bottle for easy use when plating. If you don't have one of these bottles available, don't worry, spooning it on at the end will be just fine. The only thing left to do is test the consistency of our sauce. And if Siskel and Ebert were to rate this, they'd give it... Okay, with terrible jokes that show my age behind us, let's finish the jalapenos. Now that they've simmered in the simple syrup for roughly 30 minutes, strain off the jalapenos through a fine strainer and place them in a container so they can cool in the fridge. You can throw away the simple syrup if you're not going to use it, but I like to reserve it. It goes great in a margarita, an old-fashioned, and blended cocktails. I said I wasn't going to say that. I know what you were thinking, but what about the pickled red onions? Well, strain those off and get rid of the liquid. Technically, you could keep the liquid and cold pickle beans, carrots, or other vegetables, but I usually like to start from scratch. Place back in a container for refrigeration, and let's move on. This is your pork butt, and this is your pork butt after 8 hours of slow roasting with an incredible coffee rub on top. Only thing left to do is check for doneness, and might as well give it a good taste while you're at it. Get our product quality test done, the only thing left to do is wrap and rest for roughly 30 minutes. Technically, you could go right into pulling this pork with a pork puller or bear claw. Yes, they're real things, look them up. But I'll be doing this by hand, so I want it to cool down just a little bit before diving in. Foil off and directly into a large bowl it goes. Now all we're really looking to do is separate the fibers into the meat so we have large chunks of pulled pork. The pork is still a little hot, so I'll start with 2 forks before diving in with some gloved up hands. You want to tear it up just enough until there's an even dispersion of the flavorful bark throughout, which will end up looking like... Okay, enough of that. Let's start building these tacos. I'm using grilled corn tortillas that have been double stacked on the plate. Feel free to use flour tortillas if you'd like though. Start by placing a generous mound of the pulled pork in the middle of each taco. Now top the pork with the candied jalapenos. The more jalapenos you add, the sweeter and spicier your taco will taste. Once there's a decent amount of jalapenos in play, it's time to add the pickled red onions. Now the pickled red onions are going to give it a little bit of a tangy tartness. That's going to contrast the richness of the pork very, very well. Once all the tacos have a good smattering of onions, it's time to shake up and add our bright in color and bright in flavor cilantro lime sauce. Don't feel like you have to use this sauce sparingly. It's not just going to add flavor to the taco, it's also going to keep the pork nice and moist. We'll finish this whole plating process by garnishing with some cilantro sprigs and a couple lime wedges. And there you have it, coffee and cocoa rub pork tacos with candied jalapenos, pickled red onions, cilantro lime sauce, oh, and of course, your Hairless Dog Coffee Stout. Might as well enjoy one more gratuitous product shot before we end this video. And here it is. Well, thank you for watching, and please feel free to check out this recipe as well as others on our website that you can enjoy with 0.0 regrets. But as of right now, I'm going to enjoy one of these delicious tacos. Thanks again.